Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. I want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to give a big shout out to Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for women in recovery. Just head out to their site at beyondfeartofreedom.org and check out all their meetings, become a Subscribe Tribe member, to get their podcasts, and if you want to go live with them, especially when you hear stories on our, say, how can I enter into this kind of healing and getting fixed? They're the place, they're the people to talk to. We're with Cruz Lerma. We've been with you all week, Cruz. We talked the first 3 days, of course, are the bad boy days. Sorry about that. But then Thursday, as I euphemistically call it Holy Thursday, we actually come into the Lord and we start to experience things. And if you missed yesterday especially, so uplifting to hear a person who has went through everything that Cruz went through, and then to see God's complete fix, remedy, reconciliation, healing, making you a child of God. I mean, why would I want to stay in darkness when I could be walking in the light, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about it. You went down to Costa Rica. You enlisted in the Israeli army, right? Yes. You had some missionary work. But then when you were done with that, you wound up doing what next? Was it a jail ministry right away or not really right away?
No, not right away. I was waiting to see, God, what am I going to do now? I thought I was going to go to Cuba. Mm-hmm. I had dreams about it, and God was saying, if you go there, it's not going to be good. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go, and I waited and waited. That was back in 2001. I ended up waiting, I think, for a couple of years, trying to see, what am I going to do? And so I started going to this Bible study from church. That's where I met Judy and Kenny Munns. And Kenny started inviting Judy and I to go to the jails with him. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really respond to him because, I didn't feel like, I don't think I should go. But he kept insisting like 3 times, and the third time, you know what? I'll go get the badge, and Judy too. So we went to get the badges. And sure enough, God just opened the doors like that. And we started going with Kenny to the Estrella because he needed help. He wanted women to help him. So we did, and I started going. And, by that time I was kind of timid. I wasn't really, ready to preach or teach.
Hard to believe, Cruz.
Yeah. So what I did, I was just passed out pencils and the lessons. But then I think it was a few months, says, Cruz, it's time for you to, no, I ain't doing it.
Time for you to share now.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden I was obedient. I started doing it. And that was back in 2005.
Now, when you first started doing it, you thought it was, I'm not a really good sharing person. I don't really have it. Or no, I kind of.
I didn't. I was kind of scared because I never done it before. I mean, people used to try to push me to go in the pulpit before my time. I know I wasn't ready. I had a lot of insecurities. But I tell you, when God said it's time for you, like you just said, if you just open your mouth, he will feel it. And that's exactly what happened one Sunday morning. I just opened my mouth and words started coming. Where did that come from? And from 2005 all the way to last year, never stopped going. God just started opening doors.
Now, when you started, how were the women receiving you?
They were.
They were into it.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, and you are a strong preacher. You're not a lightweight. I don't mean that in a prideful way, but I mean, and what really amazes me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, don't let me talk you into it, I could get you being at Estrella, a women's facility. I get that. But you went over to Durango. This is where I find it to be really unbelievable, in Towers, and these are all men's meetings. And some of the meetings that are dominantly Spanish speaking, because you can speak English and Spanish, I always thought, correct me if I'm wrong, that men are really not interested in listening to a woman. It's kind of a machoism culture, so to speak. They usually don't let women come in and share with them. They're not. Did I read that right?
Well, see, what happened when I started going to, Kenny was beginning to do at the men's, and he was doing English recovery classes, and they opened up doors for him to do in Spanish, but he needed an interpreter. And he asked me, can you come and help me? I need an interpreter, because he was using some of the inmates to interpret for him, but they weren't doing a good job, I guess. And I said to the men, and I just said, sure, I'll go. So I went the first day and I started interpreting. I didn't really care whether they paid attention to me or not. I just went there obedience to God and to help Kenny. And so, you know, when the service was over, they came and they said, thank you, you know, and all that, so fine. So when it was time for Kenny to move on, that slot was going to be open, and the gentleman that used to help Kenny, he says, well, what are we going to do? And, well, you and I can take over. I told him, and he agreed. So Lauren and I began to take over it. And when Kenny left, the numbers went down because he used to have the room full of guys, English and Spanish. When he left, I probably had like 6 or 7 that were coming. Well, it only took 2 weeks. When I started teaching, they started coming because they liked the way I minister. I guess, I don't know, but I used to get over 50 guys in that chapel.
I think it's amazing. And Cruz, this isn't stories out of, you know, I'm not telling stories out of jail here. I'm just saying, hey, look, you know, usually, I have noticed that most guys don't really like women preachers in jail and prison. Would you? I mean, that's pretty true. And Cruz is one of the few gals that can pull and fill that chapel. And it's just amazing because she's very, very, if you don't mind me saying it, a holiness preacher. I mean, she calls it the way it is. She's blunt. She has, well, let's just say, I wouldn't say you have great diplomacy, you know, or skill sets in civility. You know, you're pretty much a direct person. Would you not agree?
Yes.
And so I've heard you many times, and the guys love it. Listen, I always found out, looking at Cruz as a perfect example of this, that your ministry, the more direct you are, the more straight you are, using the Lord, not psychobabble, not man's kind of, kind of psychology, just coming with the Bible, coming with the truth. Guys respond to that. And if the Lord is in you, they don't care if you're a woman or a guy. Although I still say again, I don't see too many women that can pull the kind of guys numbers in attendance that you do. Now, when you got into started doing guys, well, any kind of pushback at the beginning, or no? They accepted it right away, and you were on your way.
Yes, they accepted it right away, and they started spreading the word, you know, to come. And there's always a few that say, well, she's a woman, she's not supposed to be preacher, you know. And some of them had a problem, and I just tell them, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to come.
Right.
And they kept coming. And I was straightforward, you know, you shut your mouth over there, you know, this is the way, you know. And so they ended up gaining respect. Some of them came to me, English and Spanish. I never took the time to listen to a woman before. You're the first woman that I've ever listened to. I guess I need to pay more attention this time. And I had several men that came to me and said, because of you, you know, well, it's the boldness that God gave me.
Yeah, I mean, in some of the facilities that you're in, there's just a limitation on how many people you can get in the chapel. I think it's like 55 or 52 or something like that. And they sometimes have to turn people away from your services because they can't get in because we have a certain security protocol that's in place that you can only have so many. So when you started doing this, you started seeing people get, I mean, this is the remarkable, you're seeing people get saved for the first time. They never have come to the Lord before.
Yes.
And you told me that there's people in that audience that never even knew Jesus, knew God at all. How can we be living in America and nobody has ever heard Jesus as salvation? How could that be?
Because it's too much liberty. According to them, you know, I'm free to do whatever. No, they just chose to turn God off. That's why. But the communication of God is everywhere. They just choose to ignore it and to go their own way.
I find it amazing again that time and again we have people that come through this show that have been in jail and prison. They're always like, God's got his people everywhere.
Yes.
How are you? You know, God brings people from different avenues. Your story this week, my story from corporate America. I mean, all these places. The Lord is so diverse. He can, you know, in our jails, you know, when I've had to speak in Spanish groups, I had Cruz interpret for me, right? So she could do it. And I just want to encourage you all. You didn't see jail or prison as your in-game ministry, and look how big it is. You've been in 15 years. You've been going 6 to 8 chapels a week for all that time, but you didn't see that at the front end of that whole idea of doing ministry in prison and jail.
Nope. No, I didn't. But the thing was that when I was growing up, with my brothers going in and out of prison, we used to go visit them. When I used to go visit them, I hated it because I only saw horrible things to me. And when I grew up to the age where I don't have to go anymore, I said, I'll never go back to prisons. I hate these places. And lo and behold, God says, yeah, you're going back. I believe very strong, had I not obeyed the Lord, I don't know, but I feel like I could have done some stupid thing. I would have ended up in jail.
Listen, God may be calling you to something. It may not be prison and jail, but you need to put everything on the table and not say no to him because you don't like it or you had a bad experience or whatever. You want to be able to always go where he wants you to go. And I say, especially at my stage of my life, hey, wherever you want me to go, I'll go. Whatever you want me to say, I'll say. I want to encourage all of us to get involved in where we're supposed to be at and where God wants to plant you, and you'll see fruit. We'll talk about that when we come back from the second break, about the fruit of Cruz's ministry and why being saved has now multiplied hundreds and hundreds of people finding the Lord over all this time period that she's been going in. We'll be right back after this mirror.
Was I not supposed to be drinking?
Sorry?
Was I not? Did you turn it off?
It's on.
It's off?
It's on.
Didn't you turn it off?
I did, but I turned it on at the beginning.
Oh, it's still recording?
Yeah. See it?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're at 12:18, that's right. Don't spook me. I'm like, oh no! And even if it went to the last one, I just cut it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can edit it. Yeah. Okay, so this is the last one?
This is it.
Okay, so what are you going to talk?
I want to talk about your thing. I want to continue your prison because it's hot. That's a hot issue.
Okay.
And just, share what you think. I'll lead you.
Okay, yeah, all right, good.
They'll keep you encouraged with some great insight and biblical truth. Just friend them on Facebook or go onto their website at beyondfearsoffaith.org. BFF, where you might just discover a best friend forever.
Well, welcome back to our second segment. We're talking with Cruz Lerma all this week. If you missed any of these shows, you'll be able to hop back out online. I usually post them about a week after it broadcasts on KXXT, and you'll be able to watch the whole thing, see Cruz and I and all our beauty and blemish and everything else that we have. And the cool thing about it is that you'll be able to watch it, and you send these videos to people who you say, wow, I think I got a relative or a friend. They could benefit from hearing this. Now, you heard Cruz early on in this today's episodes that, hey, we don't necessarily, she wasn't looking for prison. She was, the moment she could cut bait and run, she didn't want to go back in. She's sick of visiting her brothers in that place. It was bothersome to her as a child. Then she never saw herself going into prison. But now you've been in 15 years. You're talking about over 10,000 chapels. I mean, Cruz, that's a lot of ministry. You've seen your share of people. I'm just curious, because I remember you and I are not alike, but I've seen people in there I wrote off. Oh, there's no way this person's coming to the Lord. I've written them off. And they came to the Lord. Yes. I'm always amazed, right? This person is so hard. He's flipping me off in chapel, right? And they come to the Lord. You've seen so many people come to the Lord. Tell me a little bit about what's it like, in my view, to be in the OB ward of God, seeing newborn again people all the time.
I think that there was one moment when we were doing the English class at Durango, and there was about 40 guys in there. And I've been going, sometimes you get, oh, we're going to do this thing again, how many will be touched and all that. And I remember, we do music, and I remember playing the song Hezekiah Walker has a song, I Need You to Survive. And we played it, and the guys were singing, and right at the end of that song it says, I need you to survive. And I turned the music down, and God just came upon me, and I began to speak to them. Usually I just start the lesson right away, And I turned the music off. It says, I've been coming here all these years, and the whole purpose is because I need you to survive, gentlemen. I need you to feel God's love. I love you. The song kept repeating, and I love you. I need you to survive. I need you to get this. When I was saying that, my tears, my eyes got welled up with tears. And I saw them, and they began to get red in their eyes. And some of the guys that were so hard, they're sitting like this. And they began to weep. Mm-hmm. And I saw over half of the class, they got touched that moment. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine these hardcore guys and God just softened their heart, because I need you to survive. I need you to get this. This is the whole purpose of why Lorne and I come here every week. We need you to make it, because the devil is serious about destroying your life with every lie that is out there. All this is a lie. And I began to minister, and they brought more guys the next week. The house was packed because they got it. Mm-hmm. There was one gentleman, I don't know what he was involved with, but he couldn't look at me in the eyes when he would come to me and sign up. He would just turn away. And even when he's sitting there, I would look at him and he'd turn his eyes. And the following week, he came and he was looking at me and talking to me. The walls are being broken. Mm-hmm. If you're faithful to be you, and let them be what they are, the walls will come down.
I just want to encourage all of us, whatever God wants to plant, and sometimes we bring people in the old days, we used to bring people in just on a gate pass to visit, and they really saw how God was speaking and using people like Cruz and like some of the teams I'm on, but prison wasn't for them. But they did later on, they came to a place where they could really find their own ministry and their own situation. And that to me is such a great thing about you found a place that you didn't even see as was going to be your position, your place in the Lord.
No, I believe that ministry is not there to feed your ego. Mm-hmm. It's not for selfish gains. It's to serve and deliver a message to the hurting from God. And that's why a lot of people, they go to these places, they want to be ministers because of their ego. They want to feed their pride. And it has nothing to do, that's why a lot of them are not successful. It's about taking up your cross and following John 3:16. I so love you, Durango, that I'm willing to give up my life so that I will not perish, but have everlasting God with you also.
In your opinion, because I don't know if we can speak on the Lord's behalf all the time, but in your opinion, how much has this prison ministry changed you personally? How did it change you?
More sensitive and humility, and stop making it like it's about your flesh, your pride, and your covetousness. It's not about competitions. It's not about numbers. It's about touching one life at a time. That's humility.
I'm thinking that everybody, goes into whatever the Lord leads them to, whatever their ministry is. And I always see this verse in Proverbs where it says, he who waters will himself be watered.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of irrigation out there, a lot of spade work, a lot of watering. Do you feel like the Lord in return, when you're doing this, is watering you back because of it?
Yes, he's watering me, he's changing and growing me. I am totally changed. I am not the same woman as I was when I first started at that jail. A lot of insecurities have been overcome through him. I am not the same woman. Mm-hmm. Even when I speak, I am not the same person.
You think you could give me one insecurity that God changed?
When I would speak, I would get so nervous. I would tremble I start going like this. Mm-hmm. It's all of that stuff.
It's gone now.
Yes.
There's a confidence that the Lord can bring if you're in the right place at the right time, serving the Lord in the right way. He will give you confidence. If you lack courage, the Bible says, he'll give you courage. If you need to give boldness, he said he'd encourage you and give you boldness. And he'll give you a word in season and out of season, at the right time, at the right place. The ministry of the moment is key. I've seen you break away from what you had to teach and maybe go down a rabbit trail and talk about a specific thing in that moment that had nothing to do with your agenda.
Exactly.
So I want to encourage all of us. If you say, Steve, I really see how the Lord can not only change a person like Cruz, but then use her. And like I said, 15 years in prison and jails. I mean, she's seen it all. And to see the encouragement for you as a regular person, a believer. Maybe you said, Steve, I'm not even a believer. I just listen to your shows because I can't believe the people you bring on. If you say, I'd like to actually consider that, just remember, write me at Steve at 180uturn.com, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Yeah, Cruz.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is the whole duty of man, is to believe, to trust, and obey the Lord your God. Just like a child. If you obey the Lord and you trust him like a little child, then it'll be okay. You will have success in that manner. Not success like the world has, but you will begin to live abundant life. You won't have to. The key is, like a child, trust, obey, and let God do it.
Well, Cruz, I just want to thank you for being on our show all this week. I think that some of the things that we've learned, I've learned in prison and jail, not only in my own life, your life, but in prison and jail, it's not over till it's over. When you get out, you could find yourself a brand new life. You say, Steve, I never even went to jail or prison. I've never been arrested in my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you're into stuff that you're not supposed to be into and it's been detrimental to your family, it's been hurtful to your children, your job, all these things, and maybe you're even a functioning sinner. Hey, I got a great job. I do what I want. I do come and go as I see and I please, but you're not happy. You don't have the satisfaction of knowing that the Lord is God in your life and you still are walking like an unbeliever because you are an unbeliever. I really encourage you to check it out. I like to kind of steer people to the Gospel of John. If you've never read it before, I dare you. I just dare you to read it. It really helped me on my first couple months in the Lord to really get under what Jesus said. There's more in the Gospel of John than any other place in the Gospels. Gospel of John has a lot of places where Jesus talks. So I want you to kind of grab a hold of what we're talking about today. And if you're saying, Steve, I want to talk about this. Again, if you're a gal, you want to head out to beyondfeartofreedom.org. You can go out there and see their times for their subscribe tribe. You want to get on their feed. All these things could be beneficial to you. So I'm just encouraging you to do so. And remember, I was looking at this sheet here. I looked at people that are popular, that you and I know, actors. And I saw people that never, ever had a chance or an opportunity. And somehow, some way, actors, people that were in sports, had a second chance and a second opportunity.
The thing is that everybody needs to recover their true identity. We are not what we're supposed to be in Christ. So for the rest of your life, spend your life recovering your true identity.
Well, listen, Cruz, I thank you so much for being on our show. I hope it's been beneficial for us in drive time listening to it. And I ask you again, if you haven't come to the Lord, this is your day. Could be your day today. Listen, don't forget to check out the BFF meetings on Friday night at 5:30 for food and fellowship and 6:15 for some of the best sharing you'll ever experience. Remember, childcare is provided. And for more information on everything that they're into, just go out to beyondfeartofreedom.org, out to their website, and check on and be a subscriber, and also go to their meetings. So until next time, I'm Steve Savant, and remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.